I will be doing a quick tank review for the Soviet Tier 8 artillery piece, the SU-14-2. This vehicle, for its tier, it is not that bad nor good for its tier. It's just average for a Tier 8 artillery piece. So what is good about the tank? It has pretty good damage output if you can actually hit something with the gun. Okay, mobility. Besides that, the vehicle's survival ability and concealment rating, it is terrible. Besides that, as long as you play to the vehicle strengths and weaknesses, in the SU-14-2, you can do quite well in this SPG. Let's cover the vehicle stats now. Let's begin off with the firepower. The gun itself, it is not that great nor bad for its tier. Let's begin off with what is bad about the gun. Using the B4 gun here, you have a slow rate of fire, 1 round per a minute, with a loading time of about 40 seconds, with a long aiming time. This can be reduced by a bit with the proper equipment setup. The gun traverse speed, it is terrible at 13. You have no gun depression downward, so 0. Gun elevation upward, it is good at 60. So if you are at the right part of the map at the right time, you can easily shoot behind most of the buildings or terrain if you're at the right part of the map at the right time. With the terrible gun traverse that you have to the left and to the right, it is 4 degrees either way. So 4 degrees of gun traverse to the left and to the right, you will have a problem firing certain tanks if they are not in your gun traverse site. So you have to turn and and try to fully aim in onto the enemy tank, which it can be a bit of an issue for you at times. So knowing where to go on the map can reduce this problem by a bit. The penetration value for the AP and HE is pretty good. 102 for HE, 260 for the 260 for the AP. HE average damage potentially, if you have a high roll, it is 1,850 damage. So you can potentially one-shot a tank, reduce the tank hit points down to half or below half. The AP damage, it is good, 1,450 damage. As long as you can penetrate the enemy tank, you will be doing a good amount of damage to them still. Remember, AP shell, you have to penetrate the enemy tank if you are going to be doing any damage. Besides that, if it ricochets or misses, 0 damage. With HE primarily, if you hit something, you will be doing a bit of damage still. Now, the vehicle survival ability, it is rubbish. The armor, it is 50 in the front side, 20 rear, 20 with 410 hit points. With the hit points and the armor you have, you can be killed easily enough. So, trying to stay out of the enemy gun range, it is essential if you want to survive long enough to do a good amount of damage in this artillery piece. Everything can penetrate you easily enough, so the crew members and the modules, they can be damaged easily enough. Now, the vehicle mobility, for weighing about 64 tons, This artillery piece, it is not that fast nor slow, for weighing about 64 tons. With the 700 horsepower engine that you have a decent horsepower to ton ratio. With 11 horsepower to 1 ton, that means on flat terrain going in a straight line, you can easily reach the 30-kilometer mark only when you are on flat terrain going in a straight line or going downhill. Besides that, you will have a problem reaching the vehicle top speed most of the time. With the horsepower to ton ratio, you can get from one location to another quickly enough if it's a short distance away to avoid counter artillery fire on you. Reverse speed, it is not that bad nor good at 8 kilometers. The hold reverse, it is bad at 17, so turning this tank around in a hurry will be a bit of a problem for you. With 17 degrees for the whole traverse speed. So if something flanks you, you are pretty much dead unless you have backup around you to shoot at said enemy tank. Now, the concealment for being such a big artillery piece, it is rubbish. When it is not moving, it is 10. When it is on the move, it is 2.46. The camouflage value of the vehicle, it will be increased by a bit if you go with the camouflage perk, the camouflage net, and use the terrain around you to remain hidden a bit longer. Now, the vehicle spotting range. Most of the damage you will be doing, it is from the enemy tanks that the enemy will be lighting up for you. The base view range, it is 317 meters with a okay radial signal range at this tier at 638. Now, let's cover the research part of the tank now. The research for the tank, it's a easy tank to go through as the majority of the equipment, it is transferable from the S-51, the SU-14-1, and the radio you would have had unlocked already as it is usable on other tanks in the Russian tech tree as well. Let's begin off with the tracks. You can use the first pair of tracks throughout the entire grind if you want to mount all of the equipment onto the tank still without going over the vehicle weight limit. But if you want to add more additional equipment, you will have to use and equip the second pair of tracks. My recommendation is you use the top pair of tracks anyways, as you have a better haul traverse speed from 14 to 16. So that 2 degrees, it does make a bit of a difference at times. Engines. You have 2 to use. The first engine, it is a 500 horsepower engine. You can use it throughout the entire grind if you want to, but you will have a slightly worse horsepower to ton ratio if you are going to be using this throughout the entire grind. Now, the second engine, if you went through the SU-14-1, you would have had this engine unlocked already, so use it right away if you have it unlocked. If not, and you went through the S-51 like I did, you have to research to use the top engine. This top engine, the 700 horsepower engine, will give you the best horsepower to ton possible for this artillery piece. 11 horsepower to 1 ton compared to a worse horsepower to ton ratio with the first engine. My recommendation, use the top engine as it have a better horsepower to ton ratio. The 12RT radio, you would have had this radio unlocked already as it is usable on a lot of Soviet vehicles at the higher tier. So use the top radio right away as you would have had the 12RT radio unlocked already. Now, the guns. You have two good guns to use. It is up to your personal preference. The 152mm gun, you have a better rate of fire, about 3 rounds per a minute in theory with a good crew and the proper equipment setup. With the better rate of fire, you, you have a better aiming time of 6.5 seconds. The gun, it is less accurate, and you have slightly worse penetration value when it comes to HE and penetration value. In theory, if you use the BR2, you can do as much damage or more compared to the B4 gun if you get all high damage rolls. So the BR2 gun, it is relatively better to use if you want to have a faster fire rate of gun to shoot more in a minute with the load time of about 20 seconds roughly. Now, the B4 gun, as I mentioned before, this is a bigger howitzer pretty much, with the bigger howitzer stats. Longer load time, a bit more accurate, and a worse aiming time, 7.5 seconds, with the increased damage and penetration value. The B4 gun, it is good if you want to do a lot of damage in a single shot, but the only downside using the B4 gun compared to the BR2 gun is with the long load time that the gun it does have, you will not be firing as often as you would like to compared to the BR2 gun. Both of these guns, they are quite good for their tier, so use which gun suits your personal preference. Now, I will be covering the consumables, the ammunition layout, the equipment, and how are you going to be playing the SU-14-2. Let's begin off with the consumables. Consumables, I would go with a small first aid kit and a small repair kit to treat the necessary crew member injuries and repair what module damage that you may or may not take. Now, if you want to have a permanent bonus, you can use the large repair kit for the increased repair speed when it is not used. Same thing for the large first aid kit to reduce the chance of crew member injuries. Now, if you have the extra gold and credits laying around, you can use the extra combat rations to get a plus 10% bonus to the tank and the crew performance during a match, which is quite nice. This is a bit of a pricey thing to use, so I leave it up to you if you want to use it or not. Now, the top gun that I'm using, it carries 16 rounds of ammo, which it may not be a lot, but due to the slow rate of fire that the gun it does have, for the most part, you will never run out of ammo in a match with this gun, due to the slow rate of fire. The primary ammo type you will be using, it is HE. With HE, if you hit something, you will be doing a bit of damage to the enemy tank still. Now, with the AP round, it is a viable ammo type to use if you want to use it against a enemy tank, which you can penetrate it easily enough for the most part, with 260 millimeters of penetration, which is pretty good. So, AP round, if it penetrates something, you will be doing a good amount of damage to the tank still. Remember, AP only do damage if it penetrates the enemy tank. If it miss the enemy tank or just ricochets, it does 0 damage. Now, the premium HE round, you may or may not want to use it, as it is quite pricey, 8,000 credits or 20 gold per a shell. The only advantage using the premium HE versus the regular HE is the increased blast radius. Besides that, the ammunition layout that you will have here, it is primarily HE with some AP as shown here. Now, the pieces of equipment that you may or may not want to use. The large caliber artillery shell armor is a must to reduce the long load time by a bit. The improved ventilation class 3 to generally improve the entire tank performance by a bit, and the crew as well. The toolbox is not a bad idea to get your repairs done faster by 25%. Camouflage net to have a better camouflage rating. To have a better aiming time, use the enhanced gun laying drive. Now, when it comes to the matter of viewing, you may or may not want to use the UV-coated optics or binocular telescope, as for the most part, your teammates will be doing the majority of the scouting and lighting up targets for you to shoot. So I leave it up to you if you want to use binocular telescope or coated optics for the view range enhancement. Besides that, go with vents, the enhanced gun laying drive, the gun rammer, and the camouflage net to improve the overall tank performance. The rest of the equipment that I did not mention, it is not a good idea to use as it doesn't improve the tank performance by much. Now, how are you going to be using the SU-14-2? As a tier 8 artillery piece, you will be getting yourself into tier 8 matches, from tier 8 to tier 10 maximum. Being a artillery piece, you will be in the back, get to a good location, shoot your gun at the enemy tank that you can shoot at when the enemy tank lights when the ally tank light up the enemy tank for you to shoot at. So playing artillery, it is not that difficult, but it is quite a fun tank to use in the game for tank type if you are good at using artillery. Now, I have one replay to show you how well you can do in the SU-14-2. Let's go to that replay now. This replay, I will show you how well you can do in the SU-14-2 when you are in a tier 10 match. Let's speed this replay up a bit. I am heading to the corner of the map at K1, so I have a good area to be in, so I can shoot at anything that comes my way if need be. Using the time that it took for me to reload the gun, I used it to get to the location that I needed to in a hurry. I look at what I can actually shoot at. The Scorpion G there. I didn't hit the vehicle exactly. So, seeing I did not hit the thing, I focused my target on another thing in the city. There are like 7 vehicles in the city. Seeing the malls is a big target. The E5, I look at what I can actually shoot at. Seeing the E5 is going to the back of the house there, I aim where the mod is going to be so I can shoot at it. I managed to fire at the mod successfully enough while I am reloading. I moved so the enemy artillery wouldn't hit me. Seeing the enemy artillery is dead now, I do not need to worry about counter artillery. The mods, I focus my energy on the target so I can damage it even more. I did hit the mod again, doing a good chunk of damage to its health. Now it's 2-3, and my team in the 1-2-3 line is playing quite defensively, which is quite good. They are keeping the enemy at bay, which allow me to get some of these shots off that I need to hit the enemy tanks with. Seeing the Scorpion G there, I am going to fire at the enemy tank. Unfortunately, I didn't finish the vehicle off as someone else did. I fire in the area, hoping to hit the E5. Unfortunately, I did not, but at least I tracked the vehicle. While the gun is loading, it is essential that you use the time in between shots to aim and find your target that you will be shooting at. Seeing the mob is coming forward, I quickly aim here, not at the E5. I wait for the mobs to come in my area. I miss the mobs. Same song and dance. This time I am firing at the mobs, hoping to hit it. I did a good amount of damage there, about 400. Let's speed this up to time 4 speed. Now we are winning 9-7. With the gun loaded, I aim at the mod again. I almost hit the mod there. Fortunately, that mod was a few feet further away from the blast there. I could have had easily killed the mod there if the mod was closer. With the long loading time, I use that to my advantage to find a target that I can shoot at. The E5 here, I am trying to lead my shot to see if I can hit the target. Unfortunately, the shell went right over the E5. Same song and dance. I try shooting at the E5 again. The thing with artillery, it's either going to be a hit or a miss, which it can be fun to do a lot of damage if you get a high roll. I miss the E5. The Mars, the E5, the VK, and the Tiger 2 are the enemy remaining tanks left. I am looking at the map, seeing where the rest of the enemy tanks are. With the VK in the back there, the Mars in the 4-5 line, the E5 in the front here. I tried to aim my shot at the E5 here, but the grill finished it off. With the Mars in the open here, I am going to fire at the Mars. The shot finished the Mars off, which it was quite nice to do that amount of damage, which bring it up to about 1500 damage and 45. With the VK in the corner there, I have one more HE round to use. I am leading the aiming circle where it is going to be. I aim at the VK there. Got a good hit. Doing additional damage. So far doing about 2150 damage. This is where my youthfulness to the team comes to an end. The tanks in the city there finished the VK off, and this match was a victory for me. I only got one kill in the match, but I did a good amount of damage just by firing HE at them, doing about 2150. Now, let's go to the garage and do a brief recap on the artillery piece itself. Let's do a brief recap on the SU-14-2. The tank for its tier, it is not that bad nor good. Once you get used to playing the SU-14-2 and know how to play artillery properly, you can do quite well in this artillery piece. Remember, getting to a good spot on the map, it is essential, where you can shoot at the enemy tank. Based upon which gun you are using, you can do a good amount of damage still using either of the two guns. As long as you play artillery properly, play to the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, you can do quite well in the SU-14-2. I hope that you learn a thing or two about the SU-14-2 and how to use it properly. If you like this video, leave a like, a comment, and even follow my channel as well. Good luck on the battlefield, everyone.